Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Power of Knowing Forum's LinkedIn Live episode 151. Today, we are discussing on the topic of skill, the soft skill revolution, why emotional intelligence is the new leadership power. To have this discussed, we have the honor of having Mamatha, Lakshmikanth, a mentor, a coach. Without further ado, I would like to bring Mamatha on to the podcast event. Hi, Mamatha.
Hi, good evening.
Good
Prem, how
evening.
are
How are
you?
you today, madam?
Good, good. It's nice.
Yeah. Mamatha, just to give this one, can you give us a insight on how emotional intelligence skill is considered to be most important for leadership today?
Yeah, leadership actually has taken a different point of view, especially with so much of change.
Hmm.
And leadership involves more of purpose, clarity, vision, and guidance to the future generation or probably to the employees.
Okay.
What is happening is these roles have actually taken a different direction altogether, and they bring in the very pivotal role what a leader has to play, especially in relationships. That's number one. And then
Hmm.
fostering teamwork, and then also promoting positive work culture and work environment. Apart from these two, what emotional intelligence does, or a person who's got very high emotional intelligence, motivate people, and they can also help in resolving conflicts at the workplace. And apart from all these, it helps actually people to adapt to the changes, which are very frequent and very short time. The changes are
Hmm.
giving us to adapt. So this is something what high level of emotional intelligence can do to the leaders.
Any specific examples that you would like to take on why emotional is critical again? So, some of the pointers that you would like to have a discussion on it, Mamta?
Yes, and people, like for example, we would always use that word critical in health services. We
Hmm.
need some kind of a care, some kind of immediate response, or some kind of immediate help and aids have to come in. So leadership is actually facing this challenge. And what can
Hmm.
help us, like the medicines and immediate help and first aid, emotional intelligence is the help which actually leaders can make use of in this challenging and very difficult times to adapt to so many new changes that's been rapidly happening in all areas.
Hmm.
What we can say is we should look at what are the benefits we get whenever we are able to apply emotional intelligence. Number one, uh, leaders will be able to communicate extremely well. They can
Hmm.
effectively, efficiently communicate with the team and then with their vendors and then with their customers and clients. So communication becomes much more easier and more specific and more fruitful. And also it can
Hmm.
bring in the impact what they're looking for. That's number one. Number two is conflict resolution. Since we have
Hmm.
people working from everywhere, all across, different cultures, different ways of thinking, so naturally we would be facing a lot of issues of understanding, probably delivering the same kind of results or understanding the goals. There can be so much varieties in which people can understand. This particular changes or challenges can be dealt much more easily because communication or communicating effectively and efficiently under pressure in the right way is again another benefit. And conflict resolution, as I told, there are too many number of people, too many ideas, too many challenges that's been coming rapidly to us. So conflicts also would arise. Conflict becomes inevitable. It's going to be a part and parcel of every leader's daily activity to resolve them. So that is what emotional intelligence would really help leaders. The immediately followed by this would be on decision making. Leaders have to take extremely important and crucial decisions and at very crucial times as well. Being very calm, cool helps them to strategically think. So, strategic thinking is a major contribution of being emotionally intelligent. That actually brings in again another quality to the leader, that is adaptability to these changing scenarios, events. So many things keep changing and we can't control. So it's beyond us. It's become a natural methodology to have changes all around us. So the more leaders would go and adapt to these kind of changes, the growth also would actually follow them. So these benefits, really, I would say, would contribute to the emotional intelligence being a critical skill what leaders have to develop today.
Speaking. Why is AI considered to be well thought out and more important than traditional hard skills, Mamta?
First, we need to understand what are those traditional hard skills, and this
Hmm.
actually would be a part of the soft skill. Emotional intelligence becomes under the soft skills, or maybe power skills. We call them as, and they
Hmm.
are definitely different from the traditional methods or the way we used to apply them.
Hmm.
Emotional intelligence is being considered as the two different major components put together. One is intelligence, then definitely people have to be intelligent, or they will be using a component of intelligence in all areas of work. Along with
Hmm.
that, they will be emotionally intelligent to apply that intelligence according to the situations and events. So, naturally, this is a well thought out, it's a very beautiful process and it moves in a beautiful phase. To make this very simple, take the three C's of emotional intelligence, what leaders
Hmm.
can apply. Very easy to remember and apply them, or more away, a little away from the traditional thinking. Very easy to remember the three C's. Number one is conscious. This is what the experience, the intelligence of a person would come in. Just being intelligent, is it enough? Or should I also be emotionally intelligent? It is a self introspection question here. So, being conscious, we can say is mindful of the emotions of one own self and the emotions of the others. So, number one step would be to identify these emotions and the impact it's making. For example, I would like to talk about these three C's in terms of business modeling. I being a leader, I need to be very well aware of the emotions, what people are showing those emotions. For example, I have a new product that comes out, or a new service in the market. So, how is the market showing its emotions? How are my vendors showing emotions and the employees? So once I understand these emotions, then I will be introspecting or self-analysis of my own emotions in handling these situations. A very, very extremely important component in business today. So being very conscious and aware of the kind of emotions that's been happening. We call this as a marketing emotional setup. What is happening in the market? Am I able to understand the market? Market definitely consists of vendors, customers, clients, the buyers and the sellers. So many people involved. What are their us to understand to actually have or probably to have or thrive, especially in business, and which would be related one to the first one, the consciousness. The second one will be compassion. As we are using the word critical earlier, as I said, it's very well with the medical industry. So for us now, being compassionate has become the core theme of the business, any business, what we do. So being empathetic, empathy is the major key word we use in emotions towards others because they have to buy my product and then they have to tell me whether it's good or bad. So what do I do with my products and services? So only when I'm empathetic, I will guess as a leader, I'll fail to do business in the market. And having that ability to understand the wants, the needs, desires. Along with this, I'll be adding a couple of other additional qualities, viewpoints, then perceptions of people. If I have to understand the perceptions, the viewpoints, and the experiences, then definitely I need to have the compassion as a leader. So am I really open for that? Am I ready? Have I trained my people, my employees to be ready? Is again a very big challenge and the responsibility of every leader. And the last one, which connects these two, which connects consciousness and compassion, would be the connectedness. That is the most important one. That is ability to build relationships, ability to get on with a lot of people, including the customers. This I would call as a relationship or networking. New words are related to the connectedness. Do I have the ability to connect to my customers or clients? Am I able to connect to their emotions, their experiences? is the last one. All of them are tough to practice and master. Each one requires a lot of time, self introspection, analysis, and then applying them as and when we experience the business situations and transactions in life. So all the three C's will make this very easy, and you can see that they all are well thought out and well planned. The structural flow to be followed by the leaders to build that emotional intelligence, consciousness, compassion, and connectedness.
Thank you for that. So, can I reiterate consciousness? Can you repeat those three pointers, Mamta?
Sure, sure. The first one is the consciousness. Number two is compassion. And number
Yeah.
three is connectedness. So we are using different words. So these three C's will definitely help the leaders to, because it's very beautiful. We get to know that emotions have to be intelligent also. This is very nicely being woven in these three C's, because now we understand that emotional intelligence definitely requires intelligence as well.
Yeah. Now, can you share some of the real-time examples with these C's that can help the leaders or the freshers to understand the criticalities that are going through the industry and the people struggling to understand this emotional intelligence, Mamta?
Sure, that's a very beautiful question. Um, let's take two beautiful examples to quote here. We all have met so many leaders. I'll just quote two as examples here. Remaining,
Hmm.
maybe you can observe and then watch. Very similarly, how I actually bring out these qualities, you can just go back and do the same, a similar exercise. The first one is Indra Nui. To quote her as an example of being an emotionally intelligent leader. She's been called as a trailblazing leader who changed or transformed the entire industry or a giant uh, company in both in terms of socially responsible company and also sustainability. These are very beautiful examples. That is thinking for others, understanding others, being empathetic to the earth and then probably understanding employees, understanding the buyers or understanding the
Hmm.
consumers. A very beautiful example of the entire company. And she's been known for her very high emotional intelligence scores. And she exhibited that in the vision, the courage and the resilience wherever she led, especially this company. One of the very compelling stories of Indra Nooyi and CEO, when she was CEO of the PepsiCo, is the compelling strategy what she formed for the company. That was extremely brilliant. And what it did was mainly they could balance the needs of the stakeholders, customers, employees, and the society altogether. They brought in society as well. So another aspect to be a part of balancing. That's something very unique the companies have done. And the other one is she always led with a lot of integrity. She was an example everywhere she stood. And honesty, humanity comes in again, very highly inspiring because she built the trust and the faith of the employees, including the stakeholders and the customers as well. And one more example here. It was not easy, as she says, with the challenges that came in and a lot of pressure because she was a lady, and especially in a male-dominated company or probably industry itself. And what took her to these great heights was the optimism and the passion she had for this. One of her quotes, I would like to just mention the quote what she gave when she was asked this question on how you could actually drive the company in terms of emotional intelligence, as an example. She said that leadership is very hard, and good leadership is much more harder than anybody can think. And giving that as an example to people. Always, there is something you all have to remember. But if you can get people to follow you, then you are always a great leader. These are her quotes. This is one very inspiring women leader in terms of emotional intelligence. I always admire and then follow her a couple of qualities to imbibe in me. And should we take up
No,
one more example?
I was looking at Indra Nooyi's some of the videos where she spoke about how to manage kids while she was in office and how she was able to manage the emotional quotient between office and home while she managed a large organization. Truly inspiring. Thanks for sharing that information. Yeah, Mamta, go ahead on the second thing that you are talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, I think yes, even I admire her, especially the emotional guilt what women go through and how do we
Mm.
balance it. Yes, those stories are really inspiring again as a small part of the emotions what we go through. Sorry, another example I would like to quote is of Richard Branson, and he was a visionary leader, known as a visionary leader, and he did extremely good and created a lot of different kind of jobs in the various sectors, from the aviation up to the space travel. That's something very drastically from one corner to the other corner. So that's what he could think, known for his intelligence again. And he was renowned for his very high EI, which again, he could manifest. And he was very playful, very adventurous kind of a person, very different, very contrasting example I've taken here. And he was known for his curiosity and openness to learning. Very, very important message to the youngsters. One is be curious, be like a child if you want to really
Mm.
create. I'll be talking about this in terms of business, why we need to be emotionally intelligent. These two are very important. If you want to really grow, if you want to do something different, always be curious. Don't kill that curiosity. You be the child and nurture the child what you have in you. That's what I would like to say. And openness to learning always. So that would definitely help us to think beyond the normal ways. Then only we can be creative and innovative. And he was also known for his generosity and socially responsible. That means they wanted
Mm.
to give back to the society. That's something emotionally, how strong they should be emotionally intelligent to think about the same sustainability and the CSR, that is social responsible kind of work. He said there are two different elements to being emotionally intelligent. One is, he said, cultivate a culture of innovation for his company, and the other one was customer satisfaction. They focused on these two under his leadership, and they made extremely good contributions. One more thing, what he used to do is there are a lot of stories. He used to go to his employees and tell them that you experiment, you take risks, and be fun and have fun. These he used to go and tell people. So a lot of the youngsters used to share this. That's something very nice. You
Yeah.
make mistakes, you take the risk, and then you experiment. This is something very, very important if we have to bring in innovation and creativity. However, the leader
More.
is, that is how the employees would be.
No, it is more about giving them an opportunity to fail and tell them that we are there available for you to look at. And that's the kind of spirit that we would be in a position to give to the team so that they can do things and excel. Because without failing, nothing is achieved. And with that in mind, people or the leaders should look at fail fast and get up fast is what I think the quote that comes up in some of the books that are there is saying that the faster that you fail, the faster you get up and you may achieve better things, right? So I think
Correct. Yeah.
failing is one part, and emotionally getting an intelligent failure is a learning step, is what I think you should look at. And that's how the leaders are building up today's teams, is what I understand. Mamta, your take on it, Mamta?
Yes, I definitely agree because I think we need a cultural shift. There's some of the
Hmm.
cultures, and I used to curb people saying that no, this is the only way you need to do. You
Yeah.
can't. If you make a mistake, you're good for nothing.
Yeah.
Suppose they don't do well in exams, and they score less marks. They've always been curbed and put down. But today, the
Hmm.
entire way we look at or understand the emotions of children or the youngsters should change because they're extremely creative. They'll be adding the values what we require to business and to the success of business. Being or taking a little part of what Richard actually did is something very amazing. And what happened is, because of this, he had very strong relationships, which is one of the components of emotional intelligence, with his partners, with his vendors, investors,
Hmm.
and especially customers, apart from all these employees. And they were so loyal and supportive to him, and he built something called as a loyal and supportive network,
Okay.
which we were talking about as a part of it. And Branson once said, they asked, like, what do you think is the most important quality a leader should have? They questioned him, and he said that the way you treat your employees is the way they will treat your customers. These are golden words. especially anybody who is in business will have to read this again and again. I'll just repeat it because I liked it so much. I think he's the one person who has really told what we do, it comes back to us in another form. The way you treat your employees is the way they will treat your customers. So it's so important that you understand the internal customers, that's your own employees, and that's what they give back. So this is called as a culture of the organization. They would be showing whatever we do with them, they will show, they project the same thing to the
Yeah.
external
Yeah.
world. So these are the two examples which I felt, they stand out in terms of emotional intelligence.
Truly, yes, yes. Now coming back, when we look at how does the leader or how does this leadership on high emotional intelligence impact the organization? Because when you see highly emotional intelligent person, he talks to people very softly, gets things done. The way he puts it is talking to himself kind of a thing, and he portrays with examples and all these things. But how is this emotional intelligence high on impacting the organization? Any things that you want to share, Mamta, here?
Yeah, sure. This is the most asked question in emotional intelligence because it's very difficult to measure or show in terms of
Hmm.
business. So most often, I would say we can say like emotional intelligence or the leaders who are high on this. What kind of impact can they bring with the organization? They
Hmm.
have the ability to transform the team dynamics, that is, the forces into the organizational culture. When I say dynamics, especially they are the forces, for example, business dynamics. These are the kind of external forces which puts a lot of pressure, which influences the entire company or the organization. Types of forces, let's look at what can be the type of force. Because the leader, here when we say emotional intelligence, they're not like they're very nice or they're very cute or they're very soft. So no, leader cannot be all the time. These emotional intelligence people are very highly result oriented. They drive business, they drive people towards the organizational success. So they are extremely powerful in terms of result oriented approach. So they are going to bring other way do it. So how a person, because they can't just be intelligent, but also they need to be strategically emotional intelligence is very important here. This is where I would say a part of the dynamics also comes in here. When we say there are different types of forces which keeps acting on business, the organization, and the leader. So the leader should be able to understand these dynamics and how is it bringing an impact on the organization, to me and to my employees as well. So these forces can come in so many different directions at the same time and all together. That's the reason emotional intelligence is very important for a leader to be very cool, calm, and take the right decisions. Number one is whenever a leader has to take a decision or whenever the observations have to be made, the first force is going to come from the market. So market throws a lot of forces. So they can be new products, they can be market itself can, which is going to bring an impact on the business, or it can be the attrition within the company, or it can be what can I take within employees in the organization. So how do I need more number of people? So how do I bring it? See, all these challenges would act as critical forces impacting the business. During this time, how an individual leader using that emotional intelligence would actually convert these forces into powerful impact, would actually
Hmm.
matter or would be able to build those benefits, what we talked earlier as a leader.
Can you suggest some simple method to apply these easily, Mamta?
Yes, there are so many different tools and assessments which normally it's been taken. What I suggest is people will have to go through the different phases of learning emotional intelligence. Number one, as we said, self-analysis it would be the first part. Then they have to take a proper training, which would
Hmm.
run for a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 days, from an expert. Correct, a training. from an expert. That should be phase two. Then phase three will be they have to do a little of probably the post activities after the training, going through case studies and applying them on the job, then coming back for a discussion. So the next step, again, the stage will be on having a mentor to complete the part of the training, because emotional intelligence training is a little longer in duration because it's very highly experientially oriented kind of training. So they have to take this training, and then they will have a mentor who would mentor them on their applications and observations. Then last, they can actually have a coach. They can work with a coach to help themselves apply emotional results, take the best of the best decisions. This is how it goes. Then definitely it takes a little longer duration because it's very highly application oriented. So this is the normal path which people have to take. It's a pretty longer duration, but it's always extremely good to have a proper training. That's number one, from an expert. And then the next will be the mentoring and then the coaching.
Hmm.
So that's ideally what I would suggest. Now, if we have to do it in a very short method, there's something which is very simple is called as the 3 R's of emotional intelligence. I'll give it in 3 R's so people can
Hmm.
remember them very easily. This has
Okay.
been designed by a psychological scientist. She's a organizational psychologist called as Dr. Tasha Urich. She's
Hmm.
been a very famous author, and she is an organizational psychologist who came up
Okay.
with a particular model called the 3R model.
Hmm.
Sorry. This was done because people wanted to take a lot of inputs, that is the feedback.
Hmm.
What she was saying is the feedback is something what people don't look at normally.
Hmm. Okay.
So there was a lot of complaints, which were coming from the very big business people. And she used to listen to all these people. Then what she understood was most of the time, the feedback is the most neglected part of any kind of a business. That is the end part of any business should be the feedback. But the people
Hmm.
take it or they don't take it, and there is no importance given to it. It's been discarded.
Feedback.
Nobody pays attention to this. So she did a lot of research on how feedback is being taken, how it's being looked at. So the major important input to make your business better through emotional intelligence is by taking the feedback as information of gold. You should treat it as
Hmm.
gold. And she gave this 3R model so that people can apply it very easily.
Okay.
Number one is receive the feedback. So the first R is receive. So never put away or do away with any feedback you're going to get. So it should be
Hmm.
treated with gold, and you should receive it with a lot of respect and honor.
Yeah.
Even if it is a small, minute one, you may feel it is not good, but still you
Hmm.
have to receive it from people, from vendors, from customers, anybody, from employees. So do not neglect even a small word can actually help us in the further process. So how this is the recognition part, recognize the opportunity to gain self-awareness. This is where I will be developing my emotional intelligence to be open to actually receive feedback, to understand self-aware. Oh, okay. Oh, was
Hmm.
this a part of the product? Oh, this is why the
Yeah.
customer didn't like it. So it's an awareness. Do I have that open mind even to accept it? So receiving or
Hmm.
accepting is the key important point, because the potential of the feedback can give us numerous benefits to the organization. I don't know, maybe one small feedback, I can come up with a new product, or maybe I can go and then correct it so I can actually sell it as a premium product. So it can happen in any way. And
Hmm.
you should always get up. She's using very beautiful phrases here. All this time you are sitting in the passenger seat. Now you'll have to come to the driver's seat.
Driver seat.
So
Okay.
drive, take that feedback, and you become the driver, the leader, was a passenger, maybe, yes, not very active. It's talking about passive and active involvement of the leader here. So from the passenger seat, you shift yourself to the driver's seat. This is the very golden or a message that's been given by her to the leaders. And there is
Hmm.
another one where she says that from a trial by change yourself to a fact finding mission. Trial by fire,
Yeah.
that is, just how the fire was found. So by mistake, they had two stones, they rubbed and the fire formed. We were doing
Yeah.
that, not from that, just by hook or crook. That method, you have to become more focused approach, a fact finding mission. So it should become a mission for you to improvise on your product, your services, your organization, just based on the feedback.
Hmm.
And the next are, I'll just repeat these two phrases
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
passenger seat to the driver's seat, and then from the trial by fire to the fact finding mission. The
Yeah.
change in the
Okay.
approach of looking at feedback. Would you like to add anything, Prem, here?
Yeah, I have a question. Two people have posted the pointers here. I am just bringing them. One is from Cordia Chambers Johnson, joining from Jamaica. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So that's one from Cordia. Then I have another message which is says conscientious compassion and connectedness is EI. So this is what she's put across. So your views on that? Any comments on that to Cordia? If I'm spelling it correctly, sorry if I'm spelling it wrong. Go ahead, Mamta, please. You want me to bring up that again, Mamta?
I think we'll look at it later.
Yeah,
I think the
sure.
three
Okay.
C's chessboard. That's very nice.
Yes.
I'm happy,
Yeah.
they're able to pick the three C's. I think they were quite impactful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
the
Go ahead,
first
Mamta.
R, yeah, the first R we looked at the C, and the second R is
Hmm.
on the reflect, the
Hmm.
reflect part. Give yourself time to figure out what really the feedback means and how should we respond to it. That's how it comes, and we either become very much upset with it, and we'll be thinking why the person said that, and I will always be ready to pounce on and jump right,
Hmm.
but always ahead for a while. That is what she uses. This is the phrase she uses, rattle around in our head for a while. That means think about it before we go on with the next one. Think, discuss, brainstorm, have a big round of group discussion with the key important people in the team, with the employees. Before the next R. The first R is on receiving, the most important, the crucial part, which offers would miss on that. The second one is on the reflecting time. Take a lot of time and figure out what it was or what can be done, was what feedback, how do I actually look at this feedback? Is it important? And what should I do with it? And don't jump straight in. Take time, rattle around, discuss, then only we will move. Offers her own thumb rule. What is the thumb rule
Hmm.
here is something on the feedback. There are three different approaches to look at feedback. Number one is feedback from one person is a perception, it's a perspective. It is just one person saying. So that's the feedback. The feedback from two people is a pattern. It is one
Hmm.
after the other, one after the other. But the feedback from three or more people is something what likely to be close to a fact, what you can get or what you're looking for. So before we jump on to take a decision or to announce a result, always we should wait and take more number of feedback and be very strong in feedback. One, only from one person becomes a perception. So from two
Hmm.
people or maybe more than that falls in a pattern, but should I look for more? So if I look for more, if I'm welcoming, if I'm more open to get more number of feedback, I will be getting something what I'm looking for, or it will be very close to the fact what we want as a feedback. to take it to the R&D and improvise and so on. So if you are a company which has got an R&D, research and development, then definitely feedback is a bag of gold.
Important.
So you must be collecting more and more of it.
I think
So
they
that
say,
is what
right, feedback.
you collect.
Yeah, feedback is the breakfast for champions. So that's what one point which comes up, right, which is
Yes,
always,
absolutely.
yeah. So
Yeah.
people who take feedback positively and see what it teaches. See, I think most of the time it is like feedback teaches you something, saying that this could be a perception that you are missing to do, or this is a perception that I feel is missing. So that is the kind of feedback that we get from, and if you improvise on that, I think the feedback may take you places. That's what I feel when you take care of the feedback that is given to you.
Yeah, that is, I think, very beautifully you used a couple of quotes to say what feedback is to people.
Yeah.
So decision point is to act or not to act comes in only because of this, because of how we evaluate and look at the feedback. The last part, that is the R, the last R is act or not, that is respond. The last
Hmm.
R is respond. So should I act or should I not? Based on these two, the first one is where we will receive, and the second R is reflect, and the last one is respond. So by this time, I'll get to know what I should do with the feedback. Should I take actions or should I not? So what should we do with it? So if so, how? How would I respond is the most beautiful part, which always talks about the purpose and which we require a coaching language to respond to people. So, how do we respond to customers, clients, or how do I respond to the employees? So, how do I respond to the stakeholders? So, response can actually have its own time. Then I need to figure out how we are going to communicate this with the purpose in mind. So, the purpose is very important.
Yeah. Mamta, I have a question which has come up on this one, which I'm not able to bring it up to the screen. I'll just read it out for you. Many
Sure.
believe that emotional intelligence is a soft skill, but it is hard outcome. What are some quantifiable business results you can see directly linked to emotional intelligence in leadership?
Yes, most often it's being looked at as a soft skill, but
Hmm.
it's a power skill, I would say. See, most of the soft skills are business driven. We are going to have soft skills to drive business. So it could be
Hmm.
very simple one. Let's take the example of communication skills. In
Okay.
communication skills, let's take up negotiation skills, which is soft skill, right?
Hmm.
Because it's so much about the way we speak, the language, the questioning tags. Then how do I actually look at the give and take parts of the negotiations? But ultimately, it is going to give me the business. So most
Hmm.
of the soft skills are always thought, they're not business driven, they're not result driven. But most of them will ultimately help you to drive business, and it would definitely help you to succeed in business. Example is negotiation skills, where you can definitely see whether you're able to make a deal or not.
Hmm.
The pricing and the cost. For example, I want to sell a product. Okay, so
Okay.
the pricing again on the negotiations terms, you'll be able to bring profit to the company or not. So again, I'm talking everything in terms of business, even though we don't say hard skills are entirely different. The more higher people climb the ladder, they wouldn't be using
Hmm.
technical skills at all. Hard skills. Where when I mean to say two hard skills are normally technical. The more they climb the ladder, they'll be using most of the soft skills or the power skills which you require. For example, let's take the example assertive communication. We require very high level of assertive communication to be a leader. Correct? You want to set the rules and policies and compliances within your organization. So you are the leader, you want to set it up. So you require assertive communication to do that, so isn't it? So everywhere we definitely require these skills, even though it doesn't appear, but every particular skill is driven towards business outcome. Some of them we can quantify, like the examples I gave. Some we can't quantify. For example, the quality of your employees, the way they speak. For example, let's take where we have more of compassion and caring health services. And how nicely you take off your employees and hospital, you will get customers, you will get patients, isn't it? So it cannot be quantified, but you can quantify the number of patients coming in, how many times they visited back,
Yeah.
correct? Yes,
How
but
did they
even though
get
I will not
treated?
be
What is their experience?
absolutely, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, the
So
experience,
yeah, so the
the feeling.
experience matters is what you are saying. Now, could we say on this one, what advice would you give to leaders to build this emotional intelligence in organizations, especially industries where traditionally results are driven by finance and tech? Looking at, they drive results on technology and finance. If a financial organization is there, how do you build such emotional skills is what we want to understand from you, Mamta.
Sure. So any kind of an industry, whether we have an IT or a finance or it could be manufacturing, everywhere we deal with people, we deal with
Hmm.
humans. So definitely we require all these skills to drive any business
Yeah.
everywhere we have. So we use the same skills in the manufacturing sector, we use the same skills in the aviation industry, we use the same negotiation skills in the aerospace industry. Industries may differ, but people don't differ. The feelings and the experience of a customer is the same everywhere. Their experience and their feedback and the way they want to come back to you or buy your product again, or they want to buy a premium product because you really took care of so well and you did a lot of R&D and you've come up with a new product, taking their feedback, you've taken the feedback of customers and the clients, and you've come up with a new product, and people want to come back. So it doesn't matter what industry people are, everybody requires these skills, soft skills, or you may call it as life based skills. It could be leadership and management skills. So these fall in there. But emotional intelligence has taken a lot of priority because now there's so much of tough competition. So how will I
Hmm.
do better than the other person? For example, Bata, if you look at, they have been there for years and have built the trust and faith, especially with quality.
Yeah.
Okay, I would go, I walk in Bata because I know they give very good quality. So Bata had a little tougher time sometime long back because a lot of other competitors came in. What did they do? They did wonderful research. They went back, they took the feedback from the clients and customers. We all might have given that particular feedback. They did not have
Yeah.
design, they did not have variety, they were not very fancy looking, but most of people wanted that. They had a low time for some time. They were not really good,
Hmm.
they couldn't be, they were doing good, but they were not competing with that fancy and
Today they are a
what we
big
materials.
brand. They have acquired so many good brands, right? So
Absolutely,
that feedback
yes,
has definitely helped us. I think Hush Puppies joined them. They picked up Hush Puppies there, and they picked up a couple of other brands like Floaters and Power. They have taken a good number of brands that they are having under Bata at the moment. I think very transformational feedback. I think that is they have taken
absolutely.
from, yeah, very good
One of our
examples
students
there.
worked on that project on the research, and
Hmm.
they developed it for days together, and they're very serious with the feedback they take, and they consider
Okay.
in every particular point, and it will go to the research. So this is how it definitely has given a lot of profits. You can see business driven results because of soft skills. So it can be seen, and all leaders should make it a mandate for people to learn from the
Hmm.
initial they join the company, because they all are related to the expectations of the leader, the expectations of the management. They'll be able to do wonders with this expectation.
Mamta, coming to the last point that I have to discuss with you on today's session is, are there any tools you suggest, and can you list them for the audience to take a look at them?
Sure. There are so many different tools and assessments that people can take in to know where they stand in terms of their own emotional intelligence. That's a self scoring test. These are assessments. There are varieties of them. One is very famous is Daniel Goleman. He
Hmm.
made it very popular. He's the one who to popularize emotional intelligence, and thanks a lot to that great man who really
Okay.
understand that emotions should have so much of importance in the world. because we have got multiple kinds of intelligences, and emotional intelligence is one of them. Like we call it as a quotient, emotional quotient.
Hmm.
How much of this I have? Intelligent quotient, knowledge quotient. So we have different varieties, spatial quotient. There are many of them. Emotional intelligence is one of the key ingredients for success of leaders and the organizations, and even as a self. There are two
Okay.
dimensions of emotional intelligence. One is how do I look at my own emotions and the
Hmm.
others. So, as a leader,
Okay.
okay, this is how should I respond? How should I take some kind of a feedback and how do you respond matters a lot in approaching the other's emotions. So, it's like balancing a very, very big balancing approach here, which also would have different dimensions. So coming back to the question with the assessments, there are 360-degree assessment again. There are varieties of it. Maybe in detail in our next series session, Prem, can we actually talk about quite a few models and theories on
Yeah,
emotional
yeah, definitely.
intelligence
Sure, sure, sure.
in
We
detail?
can say this is a continuation session to what we are doing today, and we can build upon this session and give that tools set to the team or the audience where they can look at it. That should not be a problem. Mamatha. So we'll plan it accordingly and get that one. I'll bring up these comments now, which have come as we have come
Sure,
to
sure.
the last of the session. I brought up this earlier. I'll just bring it up again. So this is Cordia who says good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and she has another question which says all the three questions that you said, three C's, and one question she dropped is how can EI contribute to organizational culture? That's a question she has for you, Mamta.
Sure, sure. Every particular culture, they have their own ways in which they express emotions. Every culture wouldn't be expressing in the same manner, have their own. And the way we understand it by using our input to the organizational culture and the impact it makes. For example, some cultures would actually be having a very open minded in terms of discussing very openly. Some
Hmm.
cultures actually may not have that open culture. So it definitely makes a huge impact on the organizational culture. For example, if they have a very stringent, very traditional methods of leadership, where people are not allowed to express or they're not able to take up the more information from the client or a customer, like how we have been discussing, and openly brainstorm and come up with solutions, then this particular culture can hinder the business of the
Hmm.
organization. The more open kind of forums we have, where we have set up a very fun time, there is a problem, and then everybody gets together and then come up with a lot of different creative ideas and solutions to it. So this is the culture of the organization. They'll be able to satisfy the customer in a much more easier manner. They can give a better solution for a customer, and they can come up with more creative ideas. So little more on the lighter side. So that is how the culture of the organization gets set. Whereas it can be otherwise also, where it's not very open. So it might actually have a hindrance in coming with new ideas. So creativity may not be there in every organizational culture because it may not be happen there. So what should we do to be creative, to generate more ideas, to come up with new solutions, more solutions? I'll just give one or two examples here.
Hmm.
A few of the companies, they have this fun brainstorming sessions once in 15 days. They all get together and they put it up on
Okay.
the board. Four problems a company has faced, a team has, or a project has. Four different
Hmm.
problems. There are probably three groups. They work in different teams, and then they have five people. Everybody gets together, about 25 to 30 people. So they put it on the board, three or four problems, and everybody generates no judgment. Nothing to be said in this brainstorming session is a free idea flowing sessions. So everybody puts a lot of ideas and suggestions. So then they sit down, pick up one of the solution, then they try to apply it. So
Hmm.
idea generation can be a culture in the organization. So this would definitely help people to think, they become more and more intelligent as well in handling these kind of situations. We are not only building stronger emotional intelligence, we are also improvising on the knowledge of the domain intelligence of people as well. So both go hand in hand. right? We were talking about technology. You have to be good in technology. You have to be intelligent in your own domain area.
Yeah.
Along with that, we'll be using intelligence in terms of emotion. So I give so many industries as examples. I suppose a person, if he's having only very high on emotion and he doesn't belong to a manufacturing company, not an automobile engineer, that person cannot just use only emotions. He needs
Mm.
hardcore domain
Experience.
intelligence to apply emotions or the emotional intelligence to understand. For example, I am
Right.
not an expert in the automobile. I can understand emotions maybe, but can I give him a solution? Maybe technically, new creative idea for a new car they're coming up. No, so we need domain expert intelligence. That's the reason they both combine together. We need to have domain expertise and intelligence. Along with that, how do I handle emotionally? So it's a combination of two deadly combination of emotions and intelligence.
I think with this we come to a conclusion on our session today, or we can conclude the session. We had the great insights on how emotions are important for leadership. And to summarize, I am summarizing the pointers that we discussed today.
Sure.
Emotional intelligence, why it is critical for leadership skills, why EI is to be considered for well thought out and important when compared to traditional hard skills. Why is it you have to have high impact intelligence impact on organizations is the pointers that we discussed today on our topic. Mamta, it have been great talking to you today. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure having you on the show again, madam.
Thank you
Your
so
last
much.
any other things that you want to put across, you would like to hear from you, then we
One
can conclude this.
last,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll end this with a very beautiful quote by you, Rich. She says that the most compelling lesson anybody
Hmm.
should take, and she's giving this lesson to the leaders, if we can receive feedback with grace, reflect
Hmm.
on it with courage, and
Hmm.
respond to it with purpose, we are
Yeah.
capable of unearthing unimaginable insights from the most unlucky places. It's
Yes.
one of the most beautiful quotes I
One of the beautiful
have.
quotes. Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed on that. Yeah. Thank you for that, Mamta. And
Thank you so much.
our next podcast is scheduled for tomorrow, which is on the topic of exception. Why people remember what you did at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow IST. Looking forward to see you again. Good day. Bye for now. Thank you, Mamta.
Thank you so much, Prem, for having me here. Thanks a lot. It was wonderful talking to you on this wonderful subject.
Thank you, madam.